playing out right now between the US and China. It's fascinating because the US was gearing up for, well, a tariff fight. But China, they went a different route. Supply chains hitting a pressure point the US really depends on.
Yeah, not with guns, but with policy, economic policy. China really threw a curveball with these sweeping new export controls on rare earths. And the detail that really matters here is tiny. Any product, doesn't matter where it's made, if it has even 0.1% of Chinese rare earths, well, Beijing's okay to be exported anywhere.
Wow, 0.1%. That's incredibly precise.
It's like an economic scalpel, really.
Yeah.
Surgically targeted.
And the reaction in D.C., pure alarm from what we saw.
Oh, absolutely. The Treasury Secretary was out there, publicly pushing for emergency action, saying things like, this is China versus the world.
They were clearly expecting a brawl, maybe over tariffs, and instead they got this strategic sidestep.
And what's really interesting is contrasting that with Beijing. While the U.S. was scrambling, a senior Chinese official just calmly said, we don't want a tariff war, but we're not afraid of one. That level of calm, it suggests they knew exactly what they were doing. Like, they felt they'd executed that Sun Tzu principle perfectly. Hit them where it hurts, quietly.
So let's talk about why it hurts so much. Why are rare earths this critical leverage point?
Well, they're not just another commodity. They're basically the bedrock of modern tech. I mean, we're talking the essential stuff for high-power magnets in electric vehicle motors.
Okay.
The chips inside every single smartphone, those advanced sensors and missiles, the guidance systems in, say, an F-35 fighter jet, it's everywhere.
And China's grip on this, how tight is it really? Can you give us those numbers again? They're pretty staggering.
They really are. The control it's vertical. It's almost total. China handles about 70% of the global mining.
70%. Okay.
Then, the really complex part, processing them into usable forms. That jumps to 90%. And the final step, making the high-powered magnets themselves. A stunning 93% of the world's manufacturing. So you basically can't build a modern military or a large-scale green economy today without, going through China at some point.
It really puts things in perspective. I even remember former President Trump, who really started the whole tariff push, eventually admitting his own policy, those 100% tariffs, just wasn't sustainable for the U.S. long term.
Exactly. That's almost a direct admission that the strategic upper hand wasn't where he thought it was. And what this move really highlights is maybe a lack of foresight in Washington. We saw one assessment that was pretty blunt, saying the U.S. has no China policy, no strategy, and no clue about this kind of economic statecraft. I mean, these export controls, they're kind of a mirror image of sanctions Washington itself uses. Only this time, the U.S. is the one getting cut off from something fundamental.
Okay, but no strategy and no clue. That sounds pretty harsh. Is that really fair? Are we sure there weren't complex diplomatic things happening behind the scenes?
It's definitely a harsh assessment, no doubt. But the facts on the ground do suggest the U.S. wasn't prepared for this kind of systemic economic challenge. It wasn't ready for the resilience question. China, on the other hand, well, they've clearly been thinking long term. This isn't just reacting to U.S. tariffs. They've been actively working to shift their own dependencies away from the U.S.
Exactly. That whole push for self-reliance. We see them pouring hundreds of billions into building their own semiconductor industry instead of just buying from NVIDIA or Intel. And it's not just the high-tech stuff either. They've been systematically diversifying where they get basic things. Soybeans from Argentina and Brazil, not just the US, oil from Canada, reducing reliance on American markets.
Right. They're basically trying to insulate themselves from U.S. pressure points while at the same time deepening America's reliance on them. It's quite the strategic play.
And the impact wasn't theoretical, was it? When that rare earth supply was first interrupted, what happened?
Oh, the impact was immediate and devastating. Within just 1 week, American factories making absolutely critical things, F-35 fighters, Patriot missile systems, even the Ford F-150 pickup truck, they ground to a halt.
Just thinking about that, state-of-the-art stealth fighters and the best-selling truck in America stopped dead by the same magnet shortage. It's almost darkly funny.
It really highlights the choke point, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Defense contractors and car companies suddenly sharing the exact same critical weakness.
And Ford's CEO, Jim Farley, he confirmed it publicly, didn't he?
He did. He said, we shut down plants for 3 weeks because we cannot get high-powered magnets. Just like that. 3 weeks.
Wow. And this vulnerability, this strategic misstep, it bleeds right into probably the biggest competition happening now, the race for AI dominance.
Absolutely. You look at the recent testimony from NVIDIA's CEO Jensen Huang, it really lays bare some maybe unintended consequences of U.S. export bans aimed at China.
The numbers there were shocking. NVIDIA, the world leader in AI chips, what happened to their market share in China because of the bans?
It plummeted. They went from having something like 95% market share
95%.
down to basically zero in China, which is, only the world's second largest computer market. And they're now forecasting zero sales there for 2025. Zero.
That's a massive hit.
Huge. And Huang's point, his conclusion, was pretty damning for the policy. He argued that banning these exports isn't really slowing China down long term. If anything, it's just accelerating their drive for domestic innovation for self-reliance.
So the policy might actually be counterproductive in that sense.
That was his argument. He pointed out, look, China has half the world's AI researchers. It's 30% of the global tech market. You can't just wall off American tech and expect to lead globally.
His warning was pretty stark, wasn't it? Something about forfeiting the rest of the world.
Yeah, he said the U.S. is essentially forfeiting and conceding the rest of the world to everybody else. His take was clear. If America wants to win in AI, its tech needs to be the engine powering the whole world, and that includes China. Otherwise, you're just handing the future to others.
A sobering thought.
It is. And if you zoom out again, this all fits into a bigger picture. China's strategy over the past decade, that whole Made in China 2025 plan.
Right, I remember that.
It explicitly targeted dominance in specific frontier industries: robotics, batteries, rare earths, AI. The goal seemed to be creating an economic deterrent, something almost as powerful as a military one.
By making the world depend on them for the next generation of technology.
Precisely. And this is why breaking that grip isn't just a matter of finding a new mine somewhere. Their advantage is systemic. It's not just about digging stuff out of the ground.
What do you mean by systemic?
Well, it's an entire industrial ecosystem built over like 40 years. Think subsidized energy, a specialized workforce, maybe looser environmental rules historically, and complete vertical integration from mine to magnet. It's all connected.
Okay, let's put some numbers on that difficulty. You mentioned gallium before, vital for semiconductors, military radar.
Right. Gallium. China controls, get this, 98% of global production.
98%, okay.
Now imagine trying to replicate even a part of that capacity somewhere else. Estimates suggest it would take something like $140 billion in investment.
Billion, with a B.
With a B, and require building maybe 6 new nuclear reactors just to meet the energy demands.
6 nuclear reactors, just for gallium production? That sounds almost unbelievable. Is that figure realistic or more of a warning shot?
It's calculated based on the immense energy required for processing and the legacy environmental costs China hasn't had to fully bear internally. The point is the sheer scale. It's not just money, it's infrastructure, energy, decades of planning.
And that's just one element.
Exactly. That $140 billion, those reactors, that's for one element out of 21 that China now has export controls over. To really challenge this dominance across the board, you're talking about needing something like a whole new industrial revolution in the West.
Which shifts the focus a bit, doesn't it? If challenging this externally is so hard, we have to look at vulnerabilities closer to home, like the U.S. national debt.
Yeah, that's a critical piece of this puzzle. The debt's now over $37 trillion. That's what, more than $110,000 for every single person in the U.S.?
A staggering number.
And here's the truly frightening part from a national security perspective.
Yeah.
The U.S. government is now spending more just paying interest on that debt than it spends on its entire defense budget.
More on interest than defense.
More on interest than defense. When your finances are that stretched, it creates critical vulnerabilities. Every dollar spent, especially on defense, has to be incredibly efficient.
Which brings us back to technology, right? Efficiency becomes paramount. Washington is looking for cuts, but spending on security and defense tech, especially smart tech, keeps going up.
Exactly. If your F-35 production line can be stopped by a magnet shortage, you need solutions that boost security and efficiency without just throwing more money down a hole.
Things like better screening, especially for non-metallic threats.
Precisely. Detecting things like plastic explosives, 3D printed weapons, that's crucial now. Securing infrastructure, airports, transport hubs quickly, affordably. We're seeing a real push for next-gen screening tech, a lot of it coming out of places like MIT's Lincoln Labs. That's kind of the new front line for domestic security efficiency.
And there's one system getting attention called HexWave. What's the idea there?
Think of it like the next step beyond the old metal detector archways. It uses millimeter wave radar, similar to airport body scanners, but faster, plus advanced 3D imaging and AI.
So it sees more than just metal.
Right. It's designed to detect both metallic threats, guns, knives, and non-metallic ones like plastic explosives or those 3D printed firearms we mentioned. And it does it fast.
How?
Up to 700 people an hour. And crucially, people can just walk through. No need to take off shoes, jackets, empty pockets. It tackles that bottleneck of speed and convenience while increasing detection.
And isn't there a deadline forcing this kind of tech upgrade soon?
There is. The TSA has mandated that all U.S. airports need to screen their employees, not just passengers, for both metallic and non-metallic threats by April 2026.
So that creates a huge defined market need.
A massive market shift towards systems like this.